So, this is the second time of me filming this video. You'll know why I'm doing that in a few seconds. So, I'm gonna tell you the story on my seizures while I'm putting in very long vampire teeth. Super long. I use just denture glue for them. It works. So here we go. Oh, also too, if you haven't, follow, like, subscribe, all of the things. Anyway, let's get to the video. So, this is how the story starts. I was 11 years old. And I wanted to go to the movie theater with my cousin. So, what did we do? We went to the movie theaters. Now, we were waiting for the movie to, start, kind of. We were waiting for it to, how do I explain it? Start, I guess. And while we were outside, I was supposedly spinning around in circles constantly. And my cousin said, Sarah, hello, Sarah. And then I fell to the ground and started seizing. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty at all. And so what we did, or what my cousin did, was call 911. Then she called, I think, my dad and met us at the hospital. Or my dad met us at the hospital. Either one, I don't remember. And then I woke up out of it, and the doctors were like, yeah, you had a seizure. It's not that bad. It was just a little seizure. Were you in the movie theaters? They were asking me so many questions, and I didn't know. And I said no, because I remember I wasn't in the movie theater. I remember I was outside. And so it was like, hey, I wasn't in the movie theaters at all. Like, I wasn't in the movies at all. Like, what? Like, didn't my cousin already tell you that? And they said, she didn't end up going. She wasn't at the hospital. So nobody basically knew what happened but me. And I only knew part of it. So, yeah. And then we were like, oh, it's just a one-time thing. It's not that big of a deal. And I was sitting there, and the doctors kept asking me questions on literally everything. And so, yeah. And they were asking me about my health. Like, does any of my family members have seizures? Do, like, you have, like, bad eating helping? Like, just random stuff. And so I obviously answered no. Nobody that I know of on my mom's side or my real dad's side of the family has seizures. So they were like, oh, it's just a one-time thing then. So it's not that big of a deal. And so I was like, oh, okay, so I'm never gonna have that again. Wrong. I did end up having more seizures, obviously. And so I was minding my own business, got out of the hospital, I think, the next day. And then I, just was minding my own business. A month later, I had another seizure. And let's just say I don't remember any of it. I literally don't. I was 11. I'm 18 now, so I don't really remember anything. And so I was at my house, literally just minding my own business. I think I was in the kitchen. I'm not 100% sure. But then I just had a seizure, went to the doctor again, well, called 911 again, and I got this same doctor, and they were like, okay, well, this possibly could be a recurring thing. So I went to see my actual doctor, my specialist, like my, everyday doctor. And she was like, okay, well, you have seizures. We are going to do some brain scans, do stuff like that to you, and you will be okay, you will be fine. We will just find, something. And, oh, by the way, this might be part one because it's a long story. I, was minding my business, and they put me in a head scan thing and did all that stuff. And then they said, yep, you definitely had a seizure. Your brain is messed up. So I was like, great. And it was kind of horrible because in my brain I was thinking, holy shit, I'm gonna have to deal with this for the rest of my life. Which I, honest to God, didn't want to do. And I still don't want to live with this for the rest of my life, but I'm gonna have to. And so I, had, hold on. I had a few seizures. Well, I had a lot of seizures in between 11 and 13. And 13 is when I pop off. That I'm just going to skip from 11 to 13, not even going in between that. In 12, I had a few seizures while I was 12, but not as many as I do now. So at 13, I broke my femur bone, which is your thigh bone. This bone. But I broke my left side, which is the side. And so I was with my friend. I'm not going to name her because for private reasons, I'm not going to say her name. But I was with her and her brother, and we were going to the store. No liquor store, literally down the street. And so we were walking, and she was like, oh my God, can you give me a piggyback ride? Because I was really strong, because I was in cheer. Like I did cheerleading a lot. I was a cheerleader. And so she was like, oh my God, give me a piggyback ride. And I was like, okay. And so she hopped on my back and said, Narnia. And we do it all the time, or we did it all the time, like almost every time I was over at her house or she was at my house. So we basically did it all the time. And I didn't think anything was wrong or bad or anything about it. Also, too, at this point in my life, I was also, too, on ADHD medication. If you don't know what ADHD is, look it up. It's just being hyper, which means you jump around a lot and are crazy, and just look it up. So she was on my back. She said Narnia, and I bolted. I ran. And I fell, like I tripped and fell. And I thought, oh, I'm okay, I can just get up. And normally when I fall, I will get up and like jump around to see if any of my bones are broken or like I'm injured anywhere. That's like my thing. I do that all the time. If I fall or if I get injured. So I went to pick up my leg, and that's the first thing I did. And it looked normal. My leg looked normal. And that's the first thing I did, though, which was weird. I didn't like push myself up. I just grabbed my leg. I went to my leg. So I picked it up, and my leg was limp. So I was like, okay, I broke my leg. Now, by the way, this is the first time I've ever broken a bone before in my entire life. Like, literally, in my entire life. First time I ever broke a bone. And so I was like, oh my god, I just broke my leg. Call 911. Now, I was in shock at this point, so I didn't feel any pain, but I couldn't feel my toes. And I couldn't feel my calf, I guess, as you shall say. I couldn't feel my toes, my calf, or my whole entire leg in general. I couldn't feel my waist up to here, all the way down to my toes. I couldn't feel it at all. So my friend, she grabbed my phone out of my back pocket, which was on the side that was broken, which means it hurt really bad. Like, it hurt really bad to grab. And so then I was crying, not because I was in pain, but because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to have a cast. I'm gonna be wearing a cast for a while. And I didn't want that because I like taking showers, okay? I love taking showers. And so she called my dad, or no, she called my mom, and my mom called my dad because he was still in town, and, you know, obviously, he's closer. And he got there before 911 got there. And my friend's dad called 911. So anyways, my dad got there before 911 got there, and he was like, I'm just gonna throw her in the ambulance, or I'm gonna just throw her in my car and book it. And I was like, no, we're waiting for 911, or we're waiting for the ambulance. I'm not trying to get injured even more. Which was the best idea in my brain at that moment. The best idea. I was like, no, I don't want to make it injured even more. I don't want that. Now, remind you, that was a really good idea in the future. Okay? Remember that. So, then After that, the ambulance comes and they like support my leg, and then they put me in the ambulance. Yay! Super great. Okay. This is going to be the ending. This is part 1. This is going to be the ending because it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, it's super long already. These are the teeth. They look so much wider than my actual teeth, but they're like the same shade. It's weird. But anyways, that's the teeth. I'll see you in part 2.